Hello everybody and welcome to Beyond the Game. Ubisoft is making a huge leap in quality of its games. Assassin's Creed Origins did a great job helping to put Assassin's Creed back on the map. The question is, did they do the same for Far Cry 5? The first thing you see when you start up Far Cry 5 are its phenomenal graphics. Finally, Ubisoft learned that the actual product needs to look as good as the trailers, and they nailed that here. After the intro you awake in a bunker, but once you get outside, it's where Far Cry starts to shine immediately. The forest environment of the fictional Hope County, Montana are really stealing the show here. The forests look lush with plenty of trees and bushes, and it really feels dense. The lighting effects used here are splendid, and once the fog rises, a few minutes into the game, you get a slow jaw-dropping sensation as of how far the draw distance actually is here. The Dunia engine is really pressing every little bit of juice out of this generation console hardware. The world has a lot of detail besides the forest, like the good looking water reflection and the amazing looking wildlife. The cutscenes do a great job with the facial expression, but the animation however of the human enemies could have done with a minor upgrade. The game runs at 30 frames per second and I rarely did see it drop. Once you have a plane and soar over the landscape, there isn't a massive pop-up of terrain, and I think they did a really good job overall here. The guns and explosions both have great details, and so do the vehicles on the in and outside that you can use. If you have an Xbox One X, you get to play the game in 4K at 30 frames per second. PS4 Pro owners get the checkerboarded version, but it still looks good. The downside is that I was expecting a performance mode for these consoles, but unfortunately it isn't there. Now, let's check out the voice and sound of Far Cry 5.
As you're on my land, and I didn't kill you even though it's well within my rights as a red-blooded American gun owner, I say you owe me.
All this graphical power is accompanied by the voice acting and sound of the game. The guns in particular do sound good, from the soft sound of your suppressed pistol, the fast and loud sound of your rifles, to the over-the-top big bang of your revolver. It is a shame however that the sniper rifles do sound a little bit muted. Most of the voice acting in Far Cry 5 is done pretty well, and it delivers to tell you an engaging story. However, there are some NPCs that give you small hints or side quests that don't have the same level of voice acting as the main cast. Plus, some of your companions do tend to say the same few lines over and over. The soundtrack that plays in a car or on the radio is great with all licensed tracks. From a channel with rock music to a channel with religious songs. Cutscene music overall is pretty spot on here as well, and it helps to set the tone. The cars however do sound a bit underwhelming, but that's forgettable. Other vehicles like planes and helicopters do their job just fine here. The explosions in the game have a powerful sound to them if you stand too close, and you will hear plenty of those here. The environmental sounds, animal sounds and distant gunshots all do a nice job here to immerse you into the game. Now the biggest thing here is the gameplay, and man, Ubisoft put a lot of things to do in this game. Let's start with the story. You are a deputy sent to arrest a cult leader in the fictional Hope County, Montana, called Joseph Seed. He managed to create a massive doomsday cult in the region to help people get to their salvation. Now, his cult however is armed to the teeth and won't let their leader be arrested. As you might guess, the arrest goes horribly wrong and soon you find yourself stranded in Hope County. The world is divided into 3 large sections and each section is controlled by one of the 3 family members of Joseph. First up you got his older brother Jacob, who trains the cult their soldiers called Peggies. Secondly, his younger brother John, whose task it is to indoctrinate a cleansing of recruits that consists mostly out of drowning or engraving things into their skin. Last but not least, his former captive and now so-called sister named Faith, who oversees a drug production called Bliss. Now all of them have their own story, but here's also the problem. 2 of the 3 stories are really good and fun to play through, while one feels more like a chore and is not fun at all. Besides this, it's the fact that it is an open world with its own pacing structure. You're allowed to do whatever mission you want, and by doing so you gain influence over the region. Once you reach a certain amount of influence, you lose control over your character and are taken to a story mission. This means it just stops anything what you were doing, and this can be kinda off-putting. The story overall is also rather calmed down. Far Cry 5 had a lot of controversy surrounding its release due to the actual things that are happening in the US as of right now, so the story just all feels too mellow. Even though Joseph Seed is a charismatic guy, he's far off by, let's say, a Vaz or even a Pega Mink from the former Far Cry games, and I can't help to feel that the story had so much more potential here. Besides the story mode, the game has a ton of side missions to do, and some of these are really fantastic. They really did put a lot of effort in these in the fun factor department. Without spoiling any of them to you, they will surely make you smile for a while. You can also take over cult outposts, which will grant you even more side missions. These outposts are usually heavy defended and are fun to take over. The enemies, however, do sometimes feel like massive bullet sponges, and I also did notice some issues with the hit detection. Long distance rifle shots don't always want to connect even though you see the enemy get hit. Besides all the shooting, there is also some fishing and hunting to do if that's your thing. Also some fun stunt activities that will test your skill with cars, planes, boats and even wingsuits. There's also this thing called arcade mode, which will let you create and play other people their creation in a sort of level editor. It is a fun idea, but until this point there aren't many good creations out there, but it's still a fun extra. The game does have its cons, however, and that is with the amount of enemy patrols or enemy engagements. It can happen that you are the quest giver and just cannot finish the conversation as he keeps fighting off the enemies or wildlife. Also, if you want to go fishing, you might soon get overrun by them as well, or get attacked out of nowhere by a bear or a wolf. There's just constantly too much going on and it isn't always that fun. Also, as per usual, this game contains microtransactions. Not the bad kind, as these are only for skins or clothing items. However, the latter I just don't get, as this is a first person game and I don't see the need for extra clothes as you won't be able to see them anyway, besides a wanted poster here and there. So it feels a little bit like a cheap money grab here, but all these items can also be collected by earning silver bars. Silver bars can be found by finding secret stashes in the world, so it's not really a game breaker. I was able to finish Far Cry 5 in a little over 30 hours and I did plenty of stuff. I still have tons of side quests to do and this game won't be leaving my console anytime soon. The world is beautiful and fun to be in, the gunplay is very satisfying and there's still a ton of secrets to find. The story is decent, however, but not the best, and I still can't shake the feeling we have done all of this before. There will be plenty of DLC in the future, and by the looks of these, they are going to be very interesting. Far Cry 5 gets a great 8.5 out of 10. Did you already have the chance to play Far Cry 5 and what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, thanks for watching and see you next time.